Hello, we are here to continue the series on the building up of rates for bill items. And our focus in this episode will be block cost of a square meter of block and the basic rates that you needed to get handy will be the cost of cement, sand, and block. As for water and supervision all falls within the indirect, which I have dealt with in my previous video. You can check my page if this is your first time, www.youtube.com/quantitysurveymateseasy dot underscore 2014. There you're going to get a video on different item on the indirect that I have dealt with extensively. So having said this, you can see the cost of my cement is 9,500 per bag. I divided it by 50, which is a weight of one bag to give me the cost per kg. Then the cost of sand is for the 25-ton trucks is like 230,000. That is river sand. River sand is 230,000 divided by this gives you by 25 gives you 9,200. Since we are going to be pricing our sand in cubic meter, I further converted it by dividing it by the density of sand, which is 1.45. So, and the density theories, places you see they use 1.5, they use 1.6. So what you needed to do is to subject your sand to lab test where it will be dried and weigh. It will give you the appropriate density that the source of your sand is. But for the purpose of this exercise, we are using a 1.45. A 1.45. So having said that, the first step you do is to get the volume of mortar you needed to lay the block with. And how do you get the mortar is, first of all, you understand the principle of how blocks is laid on site. As you can see, this is 10 blocks in this area, which makes up a square meter. By the way, for you to get the number of block is for you to divide 1 by 0.45, which is the length of the block, by the height of the block, which is 0.225. It gives you, which is, it gives you 9.88. So then you round it up to 10. That is why it's referred to as 10 blocks. As you can see, I have 10 blocks here. So now how to get the mortar is all the yellow highlighted areas are the areas where the mortar will be laid, both on the bed and in the joint. These are the joint, these are the bed. We have 3 bed, 1, 2, 3, with the 2 small one, which is half here, there, about 450 long. So what I did is I took the full 1 meter by the thickness of the edge here and the thickness of this edge here. So I took 1 meter by 0.2 by 0.20. That's 1 meter by 25 by 25, which is 0.025 times 2 times 3. 1, 2, 3. Then I took this joint. There are 7 joint. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then I took 225 by 225 by 0.025, then by 7 numbers. Then I further took another smaller joint here, which is the width of the thickness of this block. Width of this block is 225. 225 minus 50 gives you one a 0.18. 0.18. I counted these edges 1, 2, 3. In the whole of this place, I got 32. And how did I get 32? In each block, you have 3. In each full block, you have 3. You have 1 here, you have 1 here, you have 1 here. You have another 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. For the half bath, you have 2, 1, 2. You have 1, 2, 1, 2. So if you sum, no, guys, sorry, there's no block, there's no mortar up here. You say you have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So by the time you count all, you were getting about 32. So, and if you click here, you see I have 1 meter by 0.025 by 0.025 by 2, which is a 2 longer one, 1 meter by 3, 3, then plus the upper one, the 2 half bath on top, 450 by 0.025 by 0. By 2, then plus the those edges on the blocks, which is a 0.18 by 0.225 by 0.025 by 32, and the 7 joint 0.225, 0.225 by 0.25 by 7. It gives me the volume of my wet mortar. And this is in its wet stage. We all know that once the mortar is not wet, it's bulk. And once you put water, it shrinks. So the percentage of shrinkage and the void and the wastage that will occur during the course of your laying the blocks, it will be it's 33%. 33% of it. So now for me to get my dry volume, I now multiply my wet volume by 1.3, gives me my dry volume. Now for me to get the part of cement, which since it's a ratio of 1:6, 1 plus 6 is 7. 1 divided by 7 gives me this. Density of cement is this. Then this multiplied by the density of cement by the part of cement and the dry volume of mortar gives me I need a 4.59 kg of cement to lay 10 blocks. So if I round it up to 5, which is 5 kg. Then for cement, for sand, I have 6 part of it divided by 7 gives me 0.86. 0.86 multiplied by my dry mortar, it gives me 0.02 cubic meter. So I link it here, it gives me my sand that I needed, multiplied by my cost of sand per cubic, gives me this amount. Cement multiplied by my cost per kg gives me this. Then number of blocks is 10. It gives me 6,000. And this, 10% of block during the cost of slicing blocks to get this half bath, the tendency for the second part of it to be destroyed with rendered useless is always possible. It is always 90% possible. So, and if you're slicing 2 blocks, slicing this one, you're having half of this, you're having half of this. So you're going to be losing 1/2. And 1/2, if you want to be so practical, we'll say, okay, if you're going to slice another half, but this half is going to be for the next square meter. So you're going to lose 1 block for 10, for each 10 blocks, you are going to lose 1 block. So, and 1 block to 10 is 10% of it. So that's why you have the 10% waste. Then the cement, during transporting of the mortar, when you're laying the blocks, tendency for the mortar you have laid to fall into the hole that you cannot scoop and all of that. You apply another 5% for cement, 5% for sand. So by the time you apply the 5%, it gives you already the formula is taking cognizant of this percentage here that I have applied here. So the percentage is already here. So you're now going to have the cost for your material as 12,000. You are going to have a cost of, because I'm dealing with 2 types of, this is solid block, while this is hollow block. The difference between these two is just the lean mortar you're going to use to fill the joint of you're going to fill the hollow for in terms of solid blocks, but while the hollow remains hollow. So for the hollow blocks, you're going to have 7,157 per square meter then the cost of your labor, 1,875. You add them together, you get 9,031. How did you arrive at your labor? The labor, a daily pay for a labor and a mason is 15,000, 10,000 for mason, 5,000 for the labor. And I expected that in a day, the mason must accomplish 80 blocks, and 80 blocks translates to 8 square meter. So if you divide 8 square meter by 15,000, you arrive at 1,875. 1,875 plus this, you get this. So, and the indirect, just like I did said, visit my page to understand how to build this, because for, say you are given a contract for block work only, your workers that you'll be bringing to site will be kitted with PPE. They'll be kitted with PPE. The supervisor you're going to leave on site needed a shelter that is going to stay, so you're going to provide an accommodation for him. Needed chairs, needed some office chairs that he needed to sit on site, and some of the, see, maybe he need a computer, he need a dispenser for water, to drink water and all of that. So all of that falls within the indirect cost. So having built up those indirect costs, and say you have, say, a 10,000 square meter of blocks to lay, and you have built your, let's even say you have a 15,000 square meter of block to lay. You have built your indirect cost. The cost that you will incur in terms of indirect is 40 million. Sorry, it's 40 million. See, it's 40 million. After all you have dealt all your expenses that you're going to incur, say it now arrive, you now have a 26 million, because you're now dividing, this is the total square meter you're going to lay within the duration of, say, 3 months you needed to stay on site to accomplish that job. Say that 3 months is going to cost you 40 million for your preliminaries item. So which means it's going to translate to 2,600 per square meter. So I bring the 2,600 here. Once I bring the 2,600 here, it gives me my cost, my dry cost without overhead and profit. It gives me 11,698. Then by the time you apply your overhead, which I also dealt in some of my video on how to build up your overheads, your overhead and your profit, by the time you put them together, it gives you 14,973.8 per square meter. Then blocks, for the solid block, the only difference between the hollow and the solid is the cost of concrete. And this concrete is, it's me now taking this void. I'm going to fill these voids with block, with concrete. So I get this cubic meter of 1 multiplied by 225 by 10. So I have 2 in 1 times 2 times 2. So I have for 1 square meter, I'm going to use 0.16 cubic to fill the hole for 1 square meter, because I have 2 holes in 1, and each hole is what we calculated was 0.18 by 225 by 10 numbers of blocks by 2. So I have 0.15 cubic meter. Then this rate is a rate of concrete that I've built already, which we can get here. This 60,000, including the cost of labor, which is 9,000, and 51,000 is the lean concrete. You have the cost of your sand, your cost of your block, your cost of your sand, cost of cement, granite, and all of that. So it is this that I took the cost of this concrete directly to my to my to my solid block and got a 8,000 square meter. I added it. I have 16,000 plus my, because already the cost of labor for concrete is inclusive of this 60,000. So I just took the cost of my my block, my lane of the block. It gives me 17,000. Of course, I have my indirect cost. It gives me 20,000 overhead and this, so it comes to 26,000. So I think I have been able to shed more light on how to to build up rate for block work. So if you have this format, so what you just needed to do is, the only thing you needed to always modify is this highlighted area. If it is a 6 inches block, it is you now changing whatever you needed to change here to compute your volume of mortar. Then if the ratio changes, if it is now ratio 1:4, it is now you changing this one to 4, changing this to 5 as against 4. Then here too, you change this against you put 4 here as and 5 will be here. Then everything will compute itself and link to, it already links to this place. So with this, you have your rate handy. You have your rate handy, and if this video has been able to shed more light, please share, like, subscribe to my page to encourage me to do more. Thank you.